Yeah, it's been a while since I did some videos like this where I just draw. I'm thinking to use these videos where I fill a sketchbook page to also respond to some questions and comments some of you have shared. I really enjoy the comments and questions, by the way. And sometimes I see some really interesting ones that gets my mind going. And I'm like, man, I think this would be a nice discussion. And sometimes just sharing my thoughts to them, I think like, well, it may help others who have similar questions or concerns. So, and as I shared in one of my YouTube shorts, I feel like I've been neglecting a lot of the instruments that I have, my fountain pens, my dip pens. I have reed pens, crow quill pens, a variety of pens, and they haven't been getting much practice. And sometimes when I do like sketchbook pages, that's usually how I would put them to use, practice, exercise, just get them working. 'Cause sometimes, you have so many different ways to work and also ways that you're more comfortable that you sometimes neglect others. And then you forget how much fun you had with them. So I think I'll make this like a series where I just fill a sketchbook page, and along with that, I'll share some tips and answer some questions, some comments, and so on. So I guess for future videos like this, just leave your questions in the comments or comments, ideas you have, whatever things you want me to think about or respond to. It's always a lot of fun, and trust me, like sometimes I read your comments and I crack up, and I laugh or I think or it's really fun to engage in that way. I guess I'll definitely have to look into doing it in a live way. It would be more fun. So yeah, using a Lamy Vista fountain pen. I love drawing with fountain pens. Generally, um, hmm, how are they different from technical drawing pens? Hmm. I guess fountain pens, because they're primarily writing instruments. They have a way the ink flows, which I really enjoy. And it's very close to drawing with a dip pen, which I really love. Of course, but certain fountain pens you don't have as much capabilities to vary your line with as much, but they're still really fun because of the flow of the ink. And so it's kind of conducive for this kind of drawing where it's like you're in a flow. So I guess I'll respond to some of the comments and questions that I saw the videos. I remember one distinctly, Isaiah 9578. The question was, how has sketching in this way daily developed your overall artistry? Well, I don't sketch like this every day. Do I even? I do try to draw every day, but of course, I don't. But I'm always thinking about drawing, to be honest. I don't think there's a day that goes I don't think about drawing or the creative process in some way. Um, but how does sketching like this? Well, it's important to point out too that this is not necessarily the only way I sketch. Uh, it depends on the means, like what's the goal, what I have in mind. So sketching like this for me, it's almost meditative, because I'm really in a flow. It's like contour drawing, but a bit slower. So I'm going faster than I normally do, but not as fast where it's like really expressive and gestural and minimalistic. So I'm taking time, but not that much. But uh, how would I say it helped develop my artistry? One, I think one of the main things is muscle memory. It's good for muscle memory. Like you get to learn to trust the process in a way. Because I don't think, and I think that's something I'll address in a upcoming video about the importance of rote practice. Like not everything has to necessarily have some grand meaning behind it. Sometimes you do things just to drive it into your long-term memory. You know what I mean? It's like taking, if you're a basketball player and you're taking shots or something like that. You're doing it just to let it become automatic. You want to create a sense of automation with certain things where you don't think. And sketching like this does that for me. It develops my muscle memory where it's like you learn to get into the flow and to trust yourself. Like, and that's why drawing like this, I use pen mostly, and that's why I say I don't sketch like this all the time. I sketch with pencil too, in different mediums, and I find that when I want to practice this, I use pen because I'm not thinking about getting things right or going back or erasing. I'm just going, and that what that does is it pushes you to get into this state where you're just going. And what that does is it allows, for me, it allows almost like the subconscious aspect of yourself, the part that you can't control, to kind of dictate. And you realize, like, oh crap, I do know proportion a bit better than I think. Because a lot of times we know more than we know. You know what I mean? And you don't give yourself a chance to know that or discover that because we're more concerned. The part of ourselves that's controlling and dictating, we want to we don't allow ourselves, we don't trust ourselves enough to be free. And sometimes with ink or sketching like this, it allows that part of yourself to surprise you, you know? Like trust the subconscious to surface and it will surprise you. You'll be surprised at how good you are at doing things. And sometimes doing this is really good for testing my proportions, testing your sense of expression and stuff like that. You know, being minimalistic, you're learning to be expressive, to say more with less. So it does a lot for my development of muscle memory. Like certain things are just automatic. I don't have to think that much. It just comes out, but it does come with practice. So, one hand washes the other. Yeah, someone also asked, where do I get my references? I usually get my references primarily from Pinterest. Pinterest is so fun, and oh my goodness, I can't. It's so fun. I mean, despite with the whole AI crap going on, but you can still salvage a lot of good images, and I'm so thankful to all those photographers out there. Like, I'm so grateful for them. Uh, but yeah, the images that mostly I get from Pinterest. Sometimes you know what, I sneak pictures of people when I'm on in the store, I'm in the supermarket, I'm in the line somewhere. I'm always just observing people. I love to just observe people. People are so interesting. The way I was in a supermarket just yesterday and I saw a lady, the way she was holding the baby and the way her figure counterbalanced on her hip to manage the weight. It was like the shape she created with the baby. I wanted to take a picture of it, but I didn't. I couldn't do it without it being obvious. So I kind of like just registered it in my mind and made a quick sketch. But yeah, so I usually use Pinterest or wherever images are. But Pinterest is my go-to place. But I'm always on the lookout. Sometimes I'm watching TV and I may just pause it and just do a quick sketch. So I'm always on the lookout. The thing is with Pinterest, which is cool, is that you can curate your images. So I have like a folder, or I forgot the name they use, the term they use, where I just collect certain types of images. So it may be athletes or people or children or older people or people doing certain types of work, because I like using different types of images. And I guess that goes into what do I look for? I guess just whatever grabs my attention. It's usually, and what usually grabs my attention? It usually has something to do with lines and shapes. I love, interesting shapes. So if I'm looking at a figure, I'm not just looking at what the figure is doing. I'm looking at the overall shape, that block shape, the container shape. I'm looking for how the rhythm of the pose. I'm looking for the direction, and sometimes some poses are just interesting. the perspective, the point of view. And sometimes I choose poses based on challenges, like if I, sometimes that's why it's good to be introspective, because you have to pay attention to yourself and notice your own patterns. So I may say, okay, wow, I notice I'm drawing a lot of figures facing the right or facing the left or standing up, or, so, or, if you find yourself perhaps unbeknownst to you, you may be avoiding a certain type of pose, and you should draw those poses. As they say, nothing boosts confidence like success. So sometimes the poses that you may be afraid of, like, you should just dedicate yourself to just drawing pages upon pages of those same poses, or parts of the body, or whatever it is. So if it's, say for example, I want to practice hands, I'll just collect images that emphasizes expressive hand expressions, or something like that. So that's how I usually go about images. Like, even with this pose, I wanted to capture the sense of it advancing into space, and I kind of messed it up. Uh, I wasn't as successful, because the reclining figure, the leg that's extended, was supposed to protrude more towards the viewer, like it's advancing out of the paper, but kind of mess it up there. So right after that, I deliberately found a pose that would challenge my sense of spatial perception. So that's why I use this figure, where it's like a kind of an angled aerial view, where it's like you're looking down at the figure. And I thought, okay, I'm going to redeem myself. I'm going to redeem myself. And sometimes also, an important point here is that sometimes I'll do the same drawing like 5 times, just to nail something. Or if I feel like I got it, but I'm not sure I got it, I just do the same drawing again. So in other pages, I'll do that deliberately so you guys will see. Like, sometimes I'll just repeat a drawing. I'll do the same thing 5 times over, just to practice something or nail something that I'm trying to get. Or sometimes I just enjoy the pose so much, because the cool thing with drawing like this is that no drawing will ever be the same. You'll And sometimes when you do another drawing of the same subject, you'll find that you enjoy something, or you see something, because that's a beautiful thing about drawing, that it helps you to see. So in drawing, it actually reveals something to you about the subject that you didn't see the first time going around. So sometimes I do another pose for that reason. So with this pose, I wanted to capture that sense of depth, where it's like you're looking down. And with poses like that, the way you position the legs or the feet is very important. That's actually the basis of everything else, But I guess as I do more of these videos, I'll explain some more or share some more insight on that. And I guess I wanted to push the idea or the feeling even more with this one. So it's like this kid is like leaping over another kid. So I wanted to capture that sense of the advancement of the left leg as opposed to the right leg, and that's what I was going for mostly, and I kind of captured that here, and it was really fun. It's really fun, like getting into the zone where you're just enjoying yourself, and that's one of the things that's so important about this. And I guess after I did this one, I'm like, man, I really miss doing drawings like these, because sometimes I do more sketches just for studies, So, oh man, time flies when you're having fun. All right, guys. So thanks so much for watching. Leave your questions, leave your comments, ideas, whatever. And we'll talk about them in the next video. So take care of yourself out there. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.